Welcome to this unidentified channel. Today we are going to be talking about Brandon Boudreaux versus Melani Pawlowski in their custody case hearing that happened last Thursday, November 18th, 2020. Did you guys listen in? Justin Lum with Fox 10 Phoenix News had posted a phone number that you could call in and listen to the court case last Thursday. You can't record it, you can only listen live, so you have to call in and just listen while it's happening. So I made sure to make that call and listen in. Here's what we found out. Justin Lum went over it very well in his feeds. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to be going over his bullet points and I'll talk a little bit about them. I did listen in. The first half of the Thursday was very quiet and very low key. There wasn't a lot going on. Apparently, they got to go out into the hallway and do their debating and trying to figure out and come up with something that they both agreed on, and then they would come in and present that to the judge. The case was supposed to start at 8:30 a.m. I was listening in at 8:30, nothing was happening. It was very silent. So Justin Lum, he just talks about it being quiet in the courtroom, and he heard some lawyers' names, and at 10:10, the judge is in the courtroom. Okay, 10:10 a.m. Here we go, on the record. At 10:11, it was announced, resolved legal decision making. Settlement discussions have been taking place. Joint legal decision making restored for Pawlowski and Boudreau. Do you know what that means? That means Melani gets say-so now. She is back in the loop. She gets to decide, as well as Brandon, what goes on with the kids. She gets to make decisions for them. It is 50-50 decision making from this point forward. The judge has already put that into effect. The judge also granted custody back to Melani. They get 50-50 custody. And to be honest, listening to Brandon talk during the hearing, he looked like this the entire time, just listening to his voice. You could just see him sitting there with this look on his face. He didn't always agree with what the lawyers were saying, and the lawyers wanted yes or no answers, and he was like, I don't agree with the way that you're saying that. So it was nice to listen in and get some perspective from that point of view, to hear them in the way that they answered things. Both Melani and Brandon got on the stand. That was in the afternoon, and that's how the day ended, was with Melani on the stand. So let's just keep going through it. So in the very early morning, as soon as we heard, right, they were granted the 50-50 custody. Then the lawyers wanted to start going through how the kids would be introduced back into Melani's life, as they have been out of her life for the past 13 months. Brandon has had them. They have had, from what I understand, no contact at all with Melani, maybe a phone call here or there. And so let's go through it. 10:13 a.m. Right now, specific agreements on recommendations are being discussed. 10:15. Pawlowski's supervised parenting time will be 11:20 from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. 11:29, same schedule, 9 to 6. Now 11:20 has already passed. That was Friday. So Melani got her first day. It would be supervised. It's supervised at first because they're introducing the kids back into her life. They haven't been around, so it's got to be kind of not just, hey, here they are, you get them. Just kind of introducing them back. So 11:20 she got them. That was yesterday, Friday. 11:29 she'll get them again. 12:02 after school from 3 to 8. And on 12:03 after school from 3 to 8. She gets supervised parenting times on those visits. All right, so then after that, at 10:16 a.m., they are going over how phase 1 will happen. It will be effective December the 5th, 2020. At 10:18, he announced Monday, January 4th, 2021, Phase 2 will begin of the joint custody. Now, I'm thinking, if I remember right, come January 4th, it won't be supervised anymore. She will have total control of when they're with her. Nobody's watching. Now, they did have to have that at least 20-hour evaluation, and Dr. Carol Mellon is the one that did that evaluation. Her report was supposed to be turned in to the courts by November the 9th. Now, during the hearing, I didn't hear anything about that report being turned in on November the 9th, but what I did hear is Brandon's lawyer commented that they didn't get the report until 11:30 on Wednesday night, 11:30 p.m. Wednesday night, the night before they had to be at court at 8:30 in the morning, to review what I believe was over a 20-page report and be ready for court in the morning. Now, I don't know if there were some circumstances where it could be turned in late like that, or maybe it was turned into the courts and the lawyers didn't get it until the night before. I don't know why that happened, but Brandon, when he was talking about it, he was like, I don't know what's all in the report. We didn't have a chance to review it. 10:21 a.m., attorney for Pawlowski is referring to Dr. Carol Mellon's evaluation report. She is the clinical psychologist who evaluated Boudreau and Pawlowski. At 10:22 a.m., Boudreau and Pawlowski just stood and took oaths. Now, when I was on the phone and listening to this, for whatever reason, my call cut out and I didn't get to hear them take their oaths. So I dialed back in and they had already taken the oaths by then and did the whole agreement to the joint custody. So I didn't get to hear that, but Justin says at 10:24 a.m. the judge approved the order for joint custody. Then they went on break. It's like they've been quiet all morning, just did a few little things, and now they're on break again. So they come back from break at 11:09 a.m. Still working out in the hallway trying to resolve issues. So they do that the entire time. Justin doesn't come back until 2:03, but I know that they came back to the judge and was like, if we can't get this figured out before lunch, we're going to have to come back to this after lunch. So they did. They took break for lunch, which was about an hour long, and then they came back from lunch and continued debating and deliberating and trying to figure out an agreement on what they had been discussing. They hadn't been able to come back into the judge and bring anything else to him. So they did that for about an hour after getting back from lunch. And Justin, at 2:03 p.m., he says the hearing is back on. Pawlowski's attorney is questioning Boudreau. So you're listening in and he's questioning things. And some things happened to where it was worded a certain way and the lawyers wanted yes or no answers. They didn't want them to elaborate on it, such as, were you arrested? They asked Melani, were you arrested at Brandon's parents' house for trespassing? And she wanted to say, yes, but this is why. And the lawyer's like, no, just yes or no is all I'm looking for. So both lawyers did that. They wouldn't let them elaborate on why they're answering yes or no. At 2:18, some back and forth between Scoresby and Boudreau about his finances and income. Now, Scoresby is Melani's lawyer, and Kreider, I don't see his name right now, but we'll get to it. That is Brandon's lawyer. So Scoresby is Melani's lawyer, and they were talking about finances, as Brandon had signed off saying that he had made $15,000 a month during a certain period of time, and by the time that they actually turned it into the courts, that had changed a little bit, and had they done tax returns, and some money when they did their divorce, there was a check cut for $6,000 and something to Brandon, and that was supposed to be halved with Melanie, and she didn't get half because of whatever reasons, and she's trying to get half, and Brandon doesn't want to give it to her, but Melanie thinks she is owed it and should get it, and they want to talk about, well, what about this and what about that? So there's a lot of back and forth, and as far as I know, the finances has not been settled. They were still deliberating about that. So let's just continue. At 2:26 p.m., Pawlowski's attorney now questioning Boudreau about allegedly keeping the kids away from his ex-wife in Utah. That's talking about when Melanie came to get the kids and they called the cops on her and had her arrested, and she had court documents in her hand and saying that she could have the kids, and it wasn't established that she couldn't be with the kids yet, but yet Brandon was keeping the kids from her. So that was talked about. At 2:40 p.m., Scoresby tells Boudreau that Dr. Mellon determined that Pawlowski is a fit parent. Boudreau initially answered to a question saying this custody battle was not a waste of time. He did it to protect the kids. He did officially agree with the judge this morning that the mental evaluation was in the best interest of the kids. Now that's saying because they didn't have a trial and they didn't have where they battled it out for custody. They agreed, and Brandon had to agree to, and Melanie did too, that they would both have joint custody. And since this evaluator, Dr. Carol Mellon, evaluated the family, and she found it that Melanie was a fit parent and there was no kind of danger with the kids being with her. I'm going to stop right there for a second and just take you back to when Lori was evaluated and they let her go as well, right? Like what is she telling the doctors versus what's really going on? Does that make sense? Like, if she's telling Melanie Gibb her kids are zombies and Brandon's a zombie, but she tells the doctor, no, I don't believe in zombies. Well, of course, right? I mean, if she had told the doctor she believed that her kids were zombies and Brandon was a zombie, I think the story would be a little bit different. So we don't know what happened. All we know is that the doctor said Melanie would be a fit parent and is a fit parent, and the kids would be okay in her custody. So the lawyer wants to talk to Brandon about this, and I can just see him sitting there with that look on his face like, no, I don't want to agree to this, but the psychologist says that she's a fit parent, and he kept bringing up, like, unless things change, like if she is connected with the shooting. Alex Cox tried to kill Brandon, and Brandon thinks Melanie had something to do with it, yet she has not been arrested. She has not been charged with anything. It has been over a year. Melanie's lawyer was bringing that up. Like, it's been a year. How long are you going to keep saying she had something to do with it? If she had something to do with it and you could prove it, they would have already charged her with something or taken her into custody, and none of that has happened. So Brandon's like banking on she will be charged with something because it kept being referred to until she is charged, right? She's a fit parent until she is charged with something. 2:45 p.m., Dr. Mellon concluded that Pawlowski never abandoned the children by moving to Idaho. Scoresby reads text from Pawlowski to Boudreau when she told him she was moving. 2:54 p.m., Scoresby says Boudreau continues to claim Pawlowski is involved in the attempt on his life when he was shot at in Gilbert. Scoresby confirms there have been no charges filed against Pawlowski. We just went over that. 3:06 p.m., the discussion moves to Pawlowski's attorney's fees, and Boudreau is being asked by his lawyer if she has been forthcoming with the court. He says no. So they're going over Melanie's lawyer's fees, and Melanie stated that she has about $150,000 worth of attorney fees, and that she is in debt, and that she only has access to about $20,000, yet her credit card bills exceed that, so she really doesn't have access to that. 3:11 p.m. Melani Pawlowski is about to testify for the first time. So Melani gets on the stand. They're done with Brandon. It's her turn. 3:12 p.m. List of exhibits being brought out. 2 affidavits by Detective Ryan Pillar with Gilbert Police. The first says Pawlowski was a person of interest, and the second says she is an investigative lead. Person of interest is someone that they're interested in talking to. They think that person may be able to give them some more insight on what has happened. They're not in any kind of trouble or anything. But an investigative lead is more like they're investigating the situation. Something may have happened here, and we got to figure out what it is. So she's kind of moved into a different category than just person of interest. So they'll keep an eye on that. And I'm sure they'll keep an eye on Melani. I don't know who the supervised person is, but it does have to be agreed upon, and it can be court ordered. And I believe I don't know, I'm not going to say that. All right, moving on. 3:13 p.m. Pawlowski is asked by her attorney about allegations of believing in zombies, joining a cult, and then confirming Dr. Mellon saying she posed no threat to her kids. She denies believing in the alleged Daybell teachings. I think Melani Gibb would be able to testify against that. I think that she would. And why didn't she get to testify during this custody case? I don't know. 3:18 p.m. Pawlowski does not believe she owes Boudreau any child support from 11/1/2019 to the present because she claims she made attempts to use parenting time. She wanted to be with the kids. She doesn't think she owes Brandon any kind of child support. (3:39 p.m.) Kreider. Kreider is Brandon's attorney. Kreider asked who Pawlowski stayed with in Rexburg and who came over to her apartment in November 2019. She says she lived alone and her uncle Alex visited. At 3:46 p.m. Let me go back for a second. Lori never visited? Why wouldn't she include Lori? 3:46 p.m. On the Gilbert shooting, Pawlowski confirms she is now an investigative lead. Despite no charges filed, she has not spoken to Gilbert police in a while as the investigation continues. 3:57 p.m. Discussion on money allegedly owed to Pawlowski. This is the $3,000 something. 4:07 p.m. Pawlowski quotes, "I didn't abandon them, the kids, but I did move to Idaho." At 4:12 p.m., Pawlowski claims Boudreau basically spun the text message she sent regarding her move to Idaho to make it look like she abandoned her kids. Now, the text message was very short that Brandon presented, which in reality, it was a little longer. Melani saying, "Hey, I'm moving to Boise, Idaho, and we need to figure out what we're going to do with the kids. Like, I can have them and you can have them on school holidays and in the summer, or you can have them and I can have them on school holidays in the summer, or if you want to, we can do mediation again. We just need to figure it out." So she was like reaching out to Brandon to figure out how they would work the kids. So with that text message, it looks like she is trying not to abandon the kids, but to have them in her life. She did put her kids' names on the lease when she signed the lease for the apartment in Rexburg. And I have a question for you. Were Tylee and JJ on the lease for Lori? Do you know? Let me know. I'm not sure if they were, but that would be a good example to show, hey, just because the kids were on the lease doesn't mean that she had wanted them to be there. Look at Lori. She put her kids on the lease and then she killed them. 4:13 p.m. Justin Lum Post. Pawlowski says Boudreau lied to the family and friends, accusing her of hiring a hitman to shoot up his car. Her attorney asked why Boise. She said she had options on where to move and was aware a private investigator was following her. Like, she wanted to say Boise to kind of throw them off, like, go look in Boise for me because I'm going to be in Rexburg. And also, she was looking in Boise, she was looking in Rexburg, she was looking up over here, and she just wasn't sure where she was going to move, so she decided with Rexburg after. She didn't decide on Rexburg until the day she signed the lease, which was just like October 28th, I believe, just a couple days before she moved, and this text was sent a week or two before she signed the lease, so she just wasn't sure. 4:17 p.m. Pawlowski says Boudreau told her on Christmas 2019 that if she wanted to see the kids, she would need to call the FBI and say Alex Cox shot at him. Melani did not agree to do that, as she says she does not know that Alex Cox shot at him. She would not be lying just to be able to see her kids. She would not be going to the FBI, but Brandon wanted her to do that. 4:24 p.m. Scoresby asked Pawlowski if there was talk of harming kids when she spent time with Alex Cox and Lori Vallow. Melani said no. 4:31 p.m. Pawlowski says she has about $30,000 in credit card debt. 4:33 p.m. Court is adjourned and will be continued on the following day, which would have been Friday, November the 19th. However, just a little bit after court was adjourned, it was announced that tomorrow's hearing, Friday's hearing, would be vacated and they would figure out the financials and agree on something. Maybe, I don't know how that works, but they vacated the hearing. They would not be coming back to court. I was so disappointed to hear they wouldn't be coming back to court on Friday. Melani Pawlowski was on the stand at the very end of court, and the last thing that came out of her mouth, her talking to the lawyer said, now, isn't it agreed that if something comes up and you are charged in a crime or charged with a crime, that then the joint custody agreement would not be valid anymore, and that would be up for determination on what would happen with custody again? And she said, yes, that's right. And the lawyer was like, well, wouldn't it be the same if Brandon was charged with a crime? And Melani said, yes, it's the same. Well, of course it's the same, but Brandon's not being investigated for a crime, and Melani is. That is the point there. So crazy. So Melani did get joint custody. What do you think about that? How do you think Friday went? Her first day back with the kids, supervised. Who do you think's supervising? I don't know. Crazy. I did look up Dr. Carol Mellon to see who is she, what's her background. The site I looked up is ratemds.com. Dr. Carol Mellon. She gets 2.5 stars out of 5, so that's like 50%. All right, some of these reviews are not good. Some of them are okay. I'm going to read a couple of them to you. The first review says, I don't believe she has the skills to handle parent alienation cases. She was aware of what was going on, but mishandled the case. The parent alienating is also listed on the court roster. The second review is a 1-star review. This woman is completely incompetent and horrible, unorganized. We saw her for almost a year, and each visit with her was spent watching her fumble through papers trying to figure out who I was. She has obvious insecurity issues and spent more time focused on my purses each visit than the well-being of my child, whom she only met with once. Her testing methods are archaic, and 90% of her report will be based on test results and initial paperwork filled out rather than actual therapeutic findings and or facts of any kind. She loses paperwork and continuous claims it was never received. The idea that this person has an effect on people's children and their well-being is nothing short of horrific, and you have a choice. Run in another direction. All right, the next review is also a 1-star review. This woman is a loony perp who will gladly sway your results and overcharge you by $10,000. The next one's a 5-star review. Dr. Mellon knows what she is doing. When you meet with her, she's friendly and professional. Her experience and insight with the family court is everything I needed to help me through this devastating time. If anybody has been married to a narcissistic sociopath, then you know how fearful this time can be. Dr. Carroll can help you reorganize your thoughts and help you stay focused. She can bring out the person you know you are inside and give you a fighting chance. I am so thankful. 5 stars. She got another 5-star review. One of the 5-star reviews talked about how the lady didn't like her at first because she wasn't giving her what she wanted, but in the end, that's exactly what she needed, and Dr. Carroll stood her ground and did what she needed to do. So there's mixed reviews on this lady. I would love to see that report. I've Googled it. I've tried to find it. Justin Lum is amazing at getting documents, and I can't find it on anything that he has posted. What do you guys think? Melani also did admit in court that she has a 2-month-old. We know it's a boy. We also know Ian Pawlowski is able to only have supervised visits with his children, and before it was brought to his attention that he wasn't taking advantage of those supervised visits, he wasn't taking advantage, and when he found out somebody was talking about it, I believe he reached out to start having visits with them again. This is all so crazy. What do you think? Is Melani going to be charged with something? I can only imagine she would be charged with something. But you know, guys, the other day I watched an episode on YouTube about the Kaylee Anthony case. And this case is so much like that, with the amount of time that had went by and they weren't able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Casey did it, and she got off, and I'm scared that's what's going to happen in this case. What do you think? What do you think? I don't know what's going to happen. We just have to wait and see if Melani's going to be charged. Otherwise, joint custody. She gets joint, Brandon gets joint. I know Melani remarried. They talked about that too. Actually, it may have been in the paperwork that was filed before the hearing. Lots of stuff in that paperwork. It's on Justin Lum's Facebook. It's probably on his Twitter. And another YouTuber went through all of that, read it. So check that out if you want to go through that paperwork. Tell me what you think. That's all I have on the custody case. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Name's coming out soon, and I will see you guys next time. Justin Lum with Phoenix Fox 10 News. Is that right? Phoenix Fox 10? And the lawyers wanted yes or no question, or yes. Hold on, I'm getting confused. Sorry. That Alex Cox tried on me. Like Alex Cox tried to kill me, and he thinks things is figures to figure out something. All right, where are we at? Right here. Here they wouldn't be coming back to point. I watched